Hi, everyone.
Hello. Ray Franz, page 383 in the chapter Misuse of Disfellowshipping. Ray says, to this day in all countries, any persons among Jehovah's Witnesses who find they cannot conscientiously support fully the organization's teachings or practices live in a climate of fear, feeling they must constantly be on guard as to what they say, what they do, what they read, with whom they associate, from whom they receive letters, not feeling any sense of freedom even when among personal friends or close relatives, if these are also witnesses. As stated in my personal experience, I have had people phone who were afraid to give their name or felt it necessary to use a fictitious name. Some who even felt it necessary to take out a special post office box to be able to correspond without danger of their correspondence with me or other former witnesses being discovered. They face a form of hostage situation produced by the organization's power to cut off all their future communication with family and friends who are subject to the organization's authority. The only way to avoid this is to meet the terms the organization lays down.
The picture presented is not overdrawn. The experiences related here are only a small fraction of all that could be given, for an entire book could be filled with them. They exemplify the thinking produced, the attitude developed by an organization that is willing to use what amounts to thought control to maintain a sterile atmosphere within its membership. Strongly based, solid teachings do not need such a sterile atmosphere. Where open discussion is decried as heretical, treasonous, in order to survive, truth has the strength to confront error. Its validity and worth are in the end enhanced by such confrontations. It is only fragile, weakly supported teachings that are so lacking in powers of resistance that their ability to survive demands being protected from having to endure a testing of their strength.
The harsh reality of the situation strikingly reveals the hollowness of public relations statements of the organization, whose representatives, when interviewed by the news media, expressed difficulty in understanding why anyone would be concerned about reprisals, why it is that persons who cannot agree do not simply leave quietly, who insist that there is no badgering, no emotional harassment in this very open organization, which is free from spiritual policemen. There are hundreds, thousands of persons who know how contrary to fact those statements are. They know that to express any disagreement, no matter how respectfully made, or to engage in any discussion of a viewpoint that differs with any of the organization's teachings, even in private conversation among close friends, is to invite investigation and trial by a judicial committee. They know that it is almost impossible to withdraw quietly, that the view is, in effect, you cannot quit, we must fire you. Why? Because by so doing, the person who has conscientious concerns about the organization's course and teachings is then placed off limits to all other members. There is no danger of these members conversing with such ones and beginning to think about matters that the organization declares to be unthinkable.
Unlike the shepherd who would leave the 99 to help one strayed sheep, a shepherd who would patiently and gently treat and nurse a sick sheep, the efforts witness elders make in their situations are often in the form of a confrontation. If scriptures are used at all, it is generally in an accusatory way, not in a healing way. Do you or do you not accept the organization as God's one channel is virtually always the principal question put, the prime issue on which the results of an interrogation hinge, the criterion by which one's Christianity is judged. The strange situation that results is as if shepherds were to say to a flock, quote, "If any of you sheep do not like the way we feed and shepherd you, you are perfectly free to leave. Any who want to go, however, should come to us, so that we can first brand you as rejected and spray you with a substance having the odor of wolves, so that the rest of the flock can identify you and avoid you. And please have the decency to leave quietly without any bleating.
Well, I'm glad that Ray can find some humor in this. But really, that's exactly right. We
Yeah.
must have that. We reserve the right to brand you and make sure nobody else will ever touch you again.
Put you off limits, I thought was a good phrase, and kind of hold you hostage.
Hold you in a hostage situation. Ex-witnesses and faders, as we now call them, are in that hostage situation until they decide to break free of their.
Yeah.
Maybe they'll get tired of being in that situation, but as far as the Watchtower is concerned, you can be in it forever.
But by what they do, they prevent you from telling anyone else that's in the truth,
What you know.
what you learn.
And by the way, this is one of the differences between the churches and the cults that we have learned over 30 years. What they say here about thought control to maintain a sterile atmosphere, and the truth has the strength to confront error. Well, in Christendom, in the churches, if anything, they err in the opposite direction. There's just too much ability to criticize, and there's too much division. Yes, there is. There's too much division, and as a witness, you're learned to think of that as somehow can't be God. But actually, it reflects the situation in the Old Testament and the New, where even the apostles in the New disagreed among themselves, and in the Old Testament, even more dramatically, the prophets and the priests and the princes were often at disagreement with each other, resulting in the persecution, but they were all in God's people.
But it allowed the freedom for people to hear different points of view,
Yeah.
right and wrong. So even though the Watchtower criticizes Christendom as being divided in that, they have the freedom to be able to talk about things and disagree with one another.
Even if you're in one denomination, that can be the truth. So Baptists oftenly are taking chunks out of other Baptists, etc.
So overall, it's better. It's better than being in a situation where you fear saying anything or disagreeing with anything.
Yeah. We're going to put a link up to a series we did on organism versus organization. Because the Watchtower myth that we're all prone to if we're in the Watchtower is the idea that God always works through an organization. That doesn't fit the Old Testament or the New, but it's more easily seen in the Old. So we'll put a video up, the first of that series, and then you'll find links to the others at the end of each video. Organism or organization. And what was the actual title? Did we copy it down?
Watchtower myths. Jehovah's Witnesses org versus Yahweh's natural organic family.
Yeah, starting with Abraham, God developed a family, starting with one man, and it became a nation, and out of that has grown all else, including the canon of Scripture. So that's on your screen, and next time his subhead is lawlessness of a different kind.